Breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
This morning on Fox 50, a traffic light crash. The major collision forcing US 70 and Garner to close, and how you can get around the mess.
And speaking of mess, we have a warm front that's pushing some rain into our area. I'll show you who's most likely to see the heaviest rain through the day.
And thousands of votes challenged. The hearing happening today that will help decide who won a Supreme Court seat from the November election.
And the Super Bowl matchup, it is all set, and it's kind of familiar. We have fan reaction and the big moments from both the AFC and NFC championship games. Last night, my dad had such a rough time watching the Commanders. He has been a fan for years, and maybe next year.
I was pulling for them too.
I think a lot of people were.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for waking up with us this morning here on WRAL News and Fox 50. I'm Chris Lovington.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. We'll get to all the football action coming up. But first, we have to talk about the weather. And Elizabeth, I was on my way in this morning, and it started to rain a little bit. And I was like, yes, wash all the salt off my car.
Yes, I was able to wash my car just really quickly, like 10 minutes yesterday. I was happy to do that. If you're down around the Fayetteville area or Clinton, the rain may do it for you, but that's not going to be the case for us around the Triangle. We saw a few sprinkles there, but it's just not going to be a whole lot for us today. Right now, we're seeing sort of that back edge sliding through Wilson toward Goldsboro, but it is likely to lift northward later this afternoon with a few more light showers. We take a look at Futurecast here. Got a bit of a break there, but we get closer to lunchtime, and there may be a few showers that swing through not just our southern counties, but a little bit farther to the north as well. And then we should be done with this by around 9 o'clock tonight. Fayetteville checking in with some of the wettest camera views that we've seen this morning. 43 degrees is our temperature in the Triangle, and we have a southwest wind at 8 miles per hour. That wind is going to help to bring some more warmth in. It's a chilly 34 in Roxborough, but there is no rain falling there or in South Hill, so temperatures are flirting with freezing there. It's really inconsequential. Our temperatures will climb only into the upper 40s this afternoon with some showers on and off, so not a great feeling Monday, but we have 60s on the way. I'll show you when. Ken?
Hey there, too, Elizabeth. We're staying on top of that breaking news in Garner. A crash that happened hours ago. Both lanes of Highway 70 shut down in both directions right now around Timber Drive. Let's get right to WRAL's Laura Levine. She's been on this story since we've been on the air this morning. Laura, what do we know right now?
Well, Ken, this is typically the time of morning where we begin to see traffic really pick up. So I want to show you exactly what we're looking at here on US 70. Look at all of the traffic backup. You're looking at a line of vehicles right now that actually have to turn around because of this. Taking a look now here, if we pan back at the scene, we have a situation where crews are really having to make some big repairs, so much so that now we know this road is going to be shut down, US 70, until at least 4 o'clock this afternoon. Here's why. After 12 o'clock this morning, around midnight, we know a driver heading this way eastbound on US 70 near Timber Drive. They had some type of malfunction with their vehicle, crashed into a utility pole, knocking down some street lights as well, and just making a mess of a situation. That driver was taken to a nearby hospital. They're going to be okay, but you can see DOT here on the scene right now, Duke Energy on the scene as well. They've got one utility pole back up, but it's going to be a long process, as you can tell. We're looking at street lights scattered across the road here. They've had to replace some of the wires, doing a lot of digging essentially. So we're going to keep you updated and monitor the situation as it goes. But listen, if you are traveling on US 70, know anyone who travels this route, let them know that this is going to be shut down for quite some time. We're talking about both lanes, so you're going to have to find a detour. And Ken, I know you'll help them find one.
Yeah, we've got a couple of detours that we're talking about. This is where the situation is happening down there in Garner. Really and truly your best bet. West Garner Road is an alternate route, and depending on where you are, just take Highway I-40 as an alternate route coming into the capital city. You are being able to turn on Timber Drive. It becomes Hammond Road as well. This is another crash that we've been monitoring right up here in northern Wake County. Down around Wake Forest on Calvin Jones Highway in the eastbound lane near Heritage Lake Road. We were seeing quite a bit of congestion in that area. It clearly beginning to dissipate just a little bit, but I'll keep an eye on that for you. We've got the usual congestion building on those Highway 64 lanes coming in from Zebulon. You're just looking at a 4-minute delay, and this is what it looks like right now, courtesy of our live cam network. Things are really beginning to thin out there, which is really good news. You will get to your destination on time, especially if you're coming in from Zebulon.
Today, we expect to see the next step in the challenge of the results of a state Supreme Court case. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey joins us live from outside the court. Kelsey, a federal appeals court will consider Republican Jefferson Griffin's request as he wants to have more than 60,000 votes thrown out.
Chris, what happens today could bring us one step closer to finding out who would be able to sit on the bench here at the state Supreme Court. We've been following the aftermath of this election for a couple of months now. Republican Jefferson Griffin is challenging the November election results. This after he lost the race by 734 votes against Democratic incumbent Justice Allison Riggs. That result has been confirmed through multiple recounts. However, Griffin claims his state should have never counted more than 60,000 ballots. He's requesting to throw them out. Most of those ballots are from people who voted by mail, did early voting, or voted while overseas. Griffin claims the state can't verify these voters' identity. Democrats and even some Republican critics say there's no truth to that. The State Board of Elections rejected Griffin's claim. North Carolina has a voter ID law, which requires people to show an acceptable form of ID to vote, such as a state driver's license. Now, today is just the start of the federal appeals court trial. We probably won't get a ruling today, but in the meantime, this case is also going to move forward in the state court. So we'll be sure to stay on top of that and keep you updated. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
Today, we'll learn more about work being done to get lead out of 5 parks in Durham. East End, Lyon, Northgate, and Walltown parks were all found to have lead in the soil. Today, Parks and Recreation will share an update on analysis done on the soil, the next steps, and options moving forward to get all of the parks open. The meeting is tonight at 6 at the Walltown Community Center.
As Raleigh police officer Max Gillick is in critical condition because of a shooting last week, people held a candlelight vigil in his honor, and that happened last night at Renaissance Park. Raleigh police say the first-class officer and Army veteran was shot during a home invasion last Tuesday. Authorities say the suspect, Antonio Rodriguez, shot and killed John Rowe. Police later shot and killed Rodriguez. Organizers say the goal of last night's event was to pray for Officer Gillick as well as remember Rowe.
Most people are paralyzed in some capacity, but this is one way that we know that can bring our residents together to show a little solidarity and support for the folks that have been lost and the officer in the hospital.
Raleigh Police Chief Estella Patterson asked for prayers for Officer Gillick as he recovers, and people can send cards and well wishes to the Raleigh Police Department.
Coquette Restaurant is back open for the first time since the shooting that killed an employee, and the community is really showing its support. The restaurant in Raleigh's North Hills opened its doors last night, 9 days after the shooting that killed Jonathan Schaefer. A steady stream of customers entered the restaurant throughout the evening. Some who spoke to WRAL say they wanted to be there to help the restaurant recover. Coquette's owner, Kevin Jennings, was in the kitchen for the reopening, and he says he is grateful for the support the community has shown.
We can't even put it into words, so I've gotten hundreds and hundreds of emails, texts, phone calls, offerings from the business community.
For now, Coquette is open for reservations only. Jennings says the victim of the shooting, Jonathan Schaefer, will be commemorated through a collage at the restaurant.
The stage is set for Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans, and the Kansas City Chiefs are trying to become the first team ever to win 3 Super Bowls in a row. They'll play the Philadelphia Eagles in the big game on February 9th, and yes, don't worry, you can watch that here on Fox 50. The Chiefs actually punched their ticket with a win over the Buffalo Bills in the AFC Championship game, as it was a back-and-forth game, really, but eventually tied at 29 late in the fourth quarter. But the Chiefs got a field goal, and then, well, they stopped the Bills from scoring again. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs got the win, 32-29.
The Philadelphia Eagles, they put on a record-setting performance in the NFC Championship game. They scored 7 rushing touchdowns in their 55-23 win over the Washington Commanders. That's the most any team has ever had in a playoff game in the Super Bowl era. Their 55 points is also a record for a conference championship game. And in less than 10 minutes, we have more of the post-game reaction from fans as the Chiefs and Eagles prepare for the big game in February.
You have a chance to try some new places to eat this week because it is Triangle Restaurant Week here. So here's some video of food you can't have right now. Dozens of restaurants in the community are taking part in this event through Sunday, and each one will offer fixed 2 or 3 course meals for special discounted prices. Are you hungry now, Michelle? Because I am after looking at this. For a full list of restaurants participating, go to WRAL.com.
Always hungry, Chris, always. All right, coming up, toxic chemicals in schools. Why some California parents are worried about sending kids back to classrooms because of the wildfires.
And remembering the people who were killed, as today marks 80 years since the liberation of Auschwitz. The ceremony being held in Poland today.
And rain is tapering off in the Triangle, but still lingers down south. I'll show you how it will look as we get through the remainder of the day.
Welcome back on your Monday morning as we take a live look over Fayetteville. A very Monday morning, right? It's raining there. You see some water droplets on the camera. We need the rain, though. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner has the big picture of where it's all falling. We need more than what we're getting.
We do. Around the Triangle area, it's not going to be a whole lot, but a lot of the south is seeing a good bit of rain. The low itself is going to slide just to the south over South Carolina, so it's just not going to push as much moisture into the northern half of North Carolina, including the Triangle. Let's zoom in here. Dual Doppler 5000 radar. This band, which you see is a little farther north, came across Wake County just about an hour and a half ago. So we did have a little drizzle, but it was not much at all. Fayetteville, Goldsboro, that's where the bulk of the rain is falling right now. And there's been as much as 1/3 of an inch already, so could be a 1/2 inch by later on this afternoon. You can see it's really out of Southern Pines, but Hope County, Cumberland County, Sampson County, Wayne County still seeing some of the rain. It's not completely over, though. Watch what happens here at lunchtime. We start to see it lifting northward again. A few isolated showers into early to mid-afternoon, and then maybe another round all the way through around 8 or 9 o'clock. We definitely need the rain because of the drought, and the southern counties are going to see a lot more than we'll see in our northern counties. Some traffic delays are possible, but really so far things have looked pretty good. This is a look at our drought status. It is moderate now for our entire viewing area. Just to our east, there's some pockets of severe drought, so we definitely need the rain. So some today, then it's dry Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then late Friday, our next round of rain comes in and lingers into the day on Saturday. And as we get closer to Saturday, we'll be talking more about how much that's going to affect your outdoor plans for Saturday. It is coming down in Fayetteville right now, but it's dry in Apex and Chapel Hill. As a matter of fact, take a look here at Chapel Hill. A little bit of sunshine trying to break out. It may be that right near the Virginia line, we see some sunshine through the afternoon, while things are much different down south. Chapel Hill's courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant. It was a little wet here in downtown Raleigh earlier, but the roads are already starting to dry out. Here comes some warm temperatures tomorrow. 58, 67 Wednesday, 66 Friday, 64 Saturday. But like I mentioned, late Friday into Saturday, it may be a little bit wet. Groundhog Day is Sunday. Right now, it looks like there may be a little sunshine, Ken.
Well, Elizabeth, we are staying on top of that breaking news down there in Garner right now.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Good morning. Happy Monday. Time now is 8:26. I'm Michelle McConaughey. We're going to begin with Ken Smith. He has some breaking news out of Garner on US 70, Ken.
Yeah, this has been a trouble spot all morning long. You can see right here the crash shutting down Highway 70 in both directions right there at Timber Drive. We have Sky 5 over that scene right now to show you exactly what's going on. He's zoomed in closer to Timber Drive right now. You can see this crash involved one single vehicle pulling down a power pole. It brought down traffic lines, power lines. You cannot make any right turns off of Highway 70 this morning. Drivers coming westbound on Highway 70 can make the right at Timber Drive. That'll get you over to Hammond Road, which turns into Hammond Road as you cross Highway 70. But this is a situation right now. Nothing happening on Highway 70 as a result of this crash. Drivers coming east, they're allowed to detour right there by that church. Of course, I'll have an update at the bottom of the hour over on Fox 50.
And on Dual Doppler 5000 radar, we have showers in our forecast, especially for our southern counties. By lunchtime, this may lift back up toward the Triangle area, but for the rest of the morning commute, we should be dry, at least around the Triangle. We're still seeing some pretty steady rain around Fayetteville and Clinton this morning. Rain chances 30 to 40% on and off for the remainder of the day, and it's cool out there too. Our afternoon highs are likely to be only in the upper 40s, looking at low 40s for most of us heading out the door right now.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Today we'll learn more about work being done to get lead out of 5 parks in Durham. Parks and Recreation will share an update on soil analysis, the next steps to get the parks open. The meeting is tonight at 6 at the Walltown Community Center. Coming up next on Fox 50, Chapel Hill native held hostage by Hamas is set to be released. When that will happen. And coming up next on Today, Savannah Guthrie sits down with Kelsey Ballerini to chat about joining the ranks of The Voice coaches.
Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
That breaking news takes us to Garner this morning. Highway 70 completely shut down in both directions at Timber Drive. There's a ground shot right here. There's a shot from Sky 5. You can see traffic being detoured. We'll tell you more about this crash and how to get around it.
Today.
And taking a look at radar, some showers, of course, in our southern counties right now. I'll let you know how it will affect the rest of your day.
We're following the story here at Lead in Parks. The update we expect today about the level of lead in 5 Durham parks and when they'll reopen.
And rallying behind Coquette, the outpouring of support from the community as the North Hills restaurant reopens after the deadly shooting took the life of an employee. We'll have that story and so much more coming up for you on your Monday morning. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Michelle McConaughey.
And I'm Chris Lovingood. And some of you waking up in our area likely seeing a little rain out there, Fayetteville included. In fact, Elizabeth Gardner's tracking that with the radar behind her. You can see it's pushing out towards the east there, Elizabeth.
It is. It's really moving down to the south. Still some pretty steady rain around Fayetteville and Clinton, but starting to move out of Goldsboro. And the rest of the viewing area is fairly dry at this point. We shouldn't see any more rain during the morning commute in the Triangle where we tend to see the heaviest traffic. So that's definitely good news. But watch what happens as we head closer to lunchtime. We start to see some more waves rolling through and the potential for a few isolated showers, say from lunchtime till around the middle of the afternoon from the Triangle area southward, and then maybe a few more this evening as well. Take a look at Fayetteville. The rain's still coming down here. It's a little lighter than it was earlier this morning, but it's pretty messy there. It's pretty chilly. Temperatures in Fayetteville right around 40 degrees, and it's 43 currently in the Triangle. Just not going to get that much warmer today. It's cool up around Roxborough and South Hill in the 30s, but there's no rain falling there. Hour by hour, our temperatures will hold in the mid to upper 40s for this afternoon. But we do have some warmer weather in our forecast starting tomorrow. We'll take a look at that coming up, Ken.
All right, Elizabeth, we're staying on top of that breaking news down there in Garner this morning. Highway 70 completely shut down in both directions right there at Timber Drive as a result of a single vehicle crash. Let's get to WRAL's Laura Levine. Laura, you've been on that story since we came on the air at 4:30 this morning. What do we know right now?
Ken, well, we're seeing the impacts this is having on the morning commute, and now we know that this will affect the early afternoon and possibly evening commute with this road, major thoroughfare here behind me shut down until at least 4 o'clock this afternoon. I want to go ahead and get that look from Sky 5 showing you from up above just how extensive this operation, if you will, is. You can see the large section here. This is US 70 between Timber Drive and Jessup Drive that is shut down, all lanes eastbound and westbound. Right now, there is some form of detour in place just in this area that is allowing some traffic, some vehicles to move along here and exit off of Timber Drive. But you can see Garner Police has this entire area blocked off. Let me tell you how this all started. Just after 12 o'clock this morning, that's when Garner Police tell us a driver crashed into utility poles here. Taking a live look now, these are the utility poles that we're talking about here on the ground. That driver crashed into the poles, knocked down several of those traffic lights, and you can even see Duke Energy crews and DOT crews here actually working to pick up some of the leftover pieces here from these traffic lights and also working to get them back up. But now that the sun is up, you can actually see it's not only this section of traffic lights that were knocked down, but we have this one here too going across the interstate or US 70 here, this major thoroughfare. So this is exactly why this is going to take quite some time for crews to clean up. As far as that driver, we know it was actually his vehicle that had some type of malfunction. He was taken to a nearby hospital where he is expected to be okay. Garner Police tell us that they do not expect any charges to be filed, Ken.
All right, Laura Levine reporting on that crash down there. As Laura just mentioned, that situation is going to be happening for quite some time. Listen, as we widen out the view for you this morning, if you're heading east on Highway 70, you're going to have to exit on Jessup Drive. If you're heading west this morning, you can probably exit on Timber Drive, which turns into Hammond Road once it crosses over Highway 70. But if you want to avoid this area altogether, West Garner Road is your alternate route. And depending on where you are in Garner, please take I-40 and just come into the capital city. Speaking of which, here's a live look of I-40 and Rock Quarry Road. Traffic flowing nicely in both directions. The rain shower is not really affecting the commute this morning, hardly. The major routes coming into the capital city, you're just looking at a 5-minute delay there in Wake Forest. So leave the house a little sooner than usual just to give yourself some extra time. As far as heading in and out of the Bull City this morning, if you're heading to work in the Bull City, you're looking at a 6-minute delay. If you're leaving Bull City heading to I-40, you're just looking at a 1-minute delay at this hour.
Thank you, Ken. Today, the next step in the challenge to more than 60,000 ballots in North Carolina's election. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey tells us a federal appeals court will hear Republican candidate Jefferson Griffin's challenge of those ballots today.
What happens today could put us one step closer to finding out who could sit on the bench here at the state Supreme Court. We've been following the aftermath of this election for a couple of months now. Republican Jefferson Griffin is challenging the November election results. This after he lost the race by 734 votes against Democratic incumbent Justice Allison Riggs. That result has been confirmed through multiple recounts. However, Griffin claims the state should have never counted more than 60,000 ballots. He's requesting to throw them out. Most of those ballots are from people who voted by mail, did early voting, or voted while overseas. WRAL state government reporter Will Doran explains Griffin's argument.
There are concerns that the state can't verify the identity of these voters in question, and so therefore, since we can't necessarily say we know who they are, their ballots shouldn't be counted. Democrats and even some Republican critics have said that there's just not any truth to that.
Today is just the start of the trial in the federal appeals court. Doran says we likely won't get a ruling today, but in the meantime, this case is moving forward in the state court. So we'll be sure to stay on top of that and keep you updated. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Raleigh.
Today, we expect to learn more about work being done to remove lead from 5 parks in Durham. I'm talking about East Durham, East End, Lyon, Northgate, and Walltown parks, all found to have lead in the soil. And today, the city's Park and Recreation team will share an update on tests of the soil, what happens next, and what can be done to reopen the parks. That meeting is tonight at 6 o'clock at the Walltown Community Center.
And people are showing their support after a shooting that left a Raleigh police officer in critical condition. They held a candlelight vigil last night at Renaissance Park. Raleigh police say first-class officer and Army veteran Max Gillick was shot during a home invasion last Tuesday. Authorities say the suspect, Antonio Rodriguez, also shot and killed John Rowe. Rodriguez was shot and killed by police. Organizers say the goal of last night's event was to pray for Officer Gillick as well as remember Rowe.
The community is rallying behind Coquette and North Hills in Raleigh. The restaurant reopened last night for the first time since the shooting that killed an employee. It reopened for reservations only and marked 9 days since the shooting that killed Jonathan Schaefer, a server at the restaurant. Customers who spoke with WRAL say they wanted to be there to help the restaurant recover. Coquette's owner, Kevin Jennings, was actually there at the kitchen for the reopening, and he says Schaefer will be commemorated through a collage at the restaurant.
Just don't want it lost that, our friend Jonathan Schaefer and co-worker is no longer with us.
Witnesses say the restaurant's executive chef, George Cullum, entered the building January 17th and shot and killed him. Another employee was hurt, and Cullum then shot himself and later died.
New this morning, Israel is letting people return to northern Gaza for the first time in more than a year. A caravan of displaced Palestinians began crossing back into the Gaza Strip overnight. They were uprooted from their homes 15 months ago when war broke out between Israel and Hamas. Hamas will hand over a civilian hostage as part of the deal to allow people to return.
A motorcyclist was taken to the hospital because of a crash with a tow truck last night. This happened in Cary on the eastbound ramp from Harrison Avenue to I-40 around 8:30 last night. Police say a tow truck was in the process of removing a disabled vehicle when that motorcyclist hit the truck, but that motorcyclist is expected to be okay. And a woman is injured because of a shooting in Raleigh. This is video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. It shows investigators there on the scene. Hillsborough Street near Old Time Barbecue. This is where this area is in the video last night. But no arrests have been made at this time.
Coming up, a campaign promise, how President Trump plans to implement his no tax on tips proposal and where he says he originally got the idea.
Plus, raining reptiles, how cold temperatures cause iguanas to freeze and fall from trees in Florida.
Chris, we used to live in Florida. We know that story. We do. And you're looking live at Fayetteville this morning. Gone is the snow. Now we have some rain. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner walks us through when you can expect the rain to clear and a taste of spring warmth this week.
Let me get you a live look outside Fayetteville this morning. You can clearly see as that car drives by, the roads are wet out there because, yes, some rain is pushing through our area today in our southern counties as you're watching WRAL News. Available on Spectrum and the WRAL app on your TV or your streaming device. Now, this is one way to illustrate the rain that Fayetteville's been seeing, but the map behind Elizabeth, that radar, really shows you what's happening right now.
Yeah, some rain here in Fayetteville, on over toward Clinton, and really starting to move away. Earlier this morning, we had some of that rain as far north as Raleigh. We really haven't had any up near the Virginia line. Models, of course, are looking at this and, making evaluations. One of our models gives us a new run once an hour, and the latest run starts to really push this out. It hasn't come into our system just yet, but we'll be watching that pretty closely. Here's a look at the big picture. This low is going to end up moving down just to our south and continuing to push the potential for some rain into our area. But if it ends up diving farther south, then we would be done with precipitation, and that's what this model is kind of hinting at. This is a look right now. Of course, it lines up pretty well with what's happening. Just some rain around Fayetteville, Clinton, and Goldsboro, but then it brings in a little bit more patchy rain closer to lunchtime and then on through the afternoon. So we'll be watching. Keep it tuned here, and we'll continue to update you on the chances for rain for the rest of the day. As a matter of fact, look at RDU right now. Blue sky here with a little bit of cloud cover. So, I don't think anybody would complain too much about seeing more of the sunshine. However, we do have a very dry, we've had a very dry pattern. And so we are, in terms of the drought monitor, actually in a moderate drought. So we need the rain. 43 is our temperature here at RDU. It is 40 in Southern Pines and Goldsboro, 37 in Roxboro. So temperatures are cool. If the clouds stick around, it's likely to stay in the 40s all day, but more sunshine would bump us into the 50s. Heidi Rabston next sent us this beautiful sunset from Seven Lakes. Absolutely gorgeous. We love your photos. Go to WRAL.com/report it and send us a few. We'd love to see them. Around town for today, looking at some clouds on and off. Temperatures will be in the upper 40s to low 50s, just a few degrees below normal. You remember last Wednesday, I think, we'll remember that in pictures for a while. Such a beautiful snow that was. Well, this Wednesday, it'll be 67 degrees. So things change fast around here, that's for sure. Cooler than normal temperatures showing up here in blue, but we're going to see the warmth really start to push in. We'll start to feel it tomorrow and Wednesday, and then even bigger push toward the end of the week. So a little taste of spring coming our way. Tomorrow 58, Wednesday 67. Now, once it warms up again later in the week, we'll likely have some rain to go along with it. We need the rain, but it may affect your plans for Saturday. So keep checking back, Ken.
All right, Elizabeth, happening now with the WO Traffic Center. I know many of you keep checking back on this situation that's happening down there in Garner this morning. A crash shutting down both lanes of Highway 70 near Timber Drive this morning. Let's give you a live look at that situation. Courtesy photojournalist Charles Bradley, you can see the situation where crews right there trying to repair this single vehicle crash that happened hours ago, just after midnight. That vehicle hit a utility pole, bringing down power lines, bringing down the power pole, also traffic signals in that area. It's a situation where we're being told that these repairs could travel into the afternoon commute, maybe until 4 o'clock this afternoon. So we'll keep an eye on that for you, especially during our new newscast here on WRAL. But bringing it back here to the WRAL Live Center, widening out the view this morning, you got a few routes. I would say Fayetteville Road, but even that's becoming congested as a result of what's happening on Highway 70. You are being able to turn on Timber Drive, returns into Hammond Road, and that gets you up to Tryon Road as well. But really and truly, West Garner Road is your best bet, and depending on where you are, just hop on I-40, especially if you're in Garner and just come into the capital city. That will be your really best bet to getting the situation under control. We are having a traffic alert as well. Traffic lights are out on Capitol Boulevard near Highwoods Boulevard because of a blown transformer. This is right near the Beltline, as you can tell, but Raleigh Police will be directing traffic, and they're asking you to be cautious as you're going through that intersection right there. We'll keep an eye on that for you. In terms of the major routes coming into the capital city, very little to no delay, just about a 5-minute delay coming in from Wake Forest and a 4-minute delay once you hit 87. Going in and out of the Bull City this morning using I-885, you're going in, you're looking at a 4-minute delay, nothing that's going to make you late. And if you're heading on I-885 again to get I-40, you're just looking at a 1-minute delay.
Thanks, Ken. The Chapel Hill native being held hostage by Hamas will be released in 5 days. Keith Siegel should be among the next group of hostages to be released on Saturday. NBC News says Siegel is the first American hostage who will be freed. Siegel and his wife Aviva were taken hostage on October 7th, 2023. That's when Hamas militants attacked Israel's border, killing 1,200 people. Aviva Siegel was released 51 days after that attack.
President Donald Trump says he wants to, quote, clean out Gaza, and his pitch is to move more than 1 million Palestinians to other countries. Trump says he spoke with this to the King of Jordan about that idea, and he called the Gaza Strip a, quote, real mess. He says he wants Jordan and Egypt to build housing and take in the Palestinian people. Foreign affairs ministers from both Jordan and Egypt expressed opposition to that idea. And previously, there's been concern about Israel wanting to push Palestinians out of Gaza for Israel's own needs. Ben & Jerry's is claiming that its parent company censored its social media content. Ben & Jerry's amended a lawsuit filed in November. The company claims Unilever recently blocked a social media statement because it mentioned President Trump. The complaint says Ben & Jerry's wanted to address abortion, climate change, minimum wages, and universal health care. The lawsuit also claims a Unilever official blocked the post from going public. Ben & Jerry's initial lawsuit alleged Unilever blocked similar support for Palestinian refugees and an end of military aid to Israel.
This is also in line with business news. Jeff Hogan in the WRAL Live Center right now. Advancements in artificial intelligence are rocking the stock sector this morning. I'll show you what the effect it is having on futures in just a moment. But I want to explain what this is. DeepSeek. This is catching people's eye this morning. The advancement of a Chinese artificial intelligence company. It's a 1-year-old startup. It has shown the capability of a ChatGPT-like AI model, but operates at a fraction of the cost of Google or Meta's products. The company said it had spent $5.5 million training its new AI model. Now, this is compared to the hundreds of millions, even billions of dollars that U.S. companies have spent on their AI technologies, sending shockwaves through the tech sector. As I show you right here, these futures, Dow futures down 321, S&P futures down $127. But the NASDAQ futures, that tech-heavy sector right there, down 777 points so far. We'll see what happens at the opening bell.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Chelsea Christ's mother is sharing a message about mental health. Her daughter, who was Miss USA in 2019, died by suicide 3 years ago this week. April Simpkins wants parents to know how they can help their children who may be struggling. Simpkins spoke to a crowd at Shaw University yesterday. She wrote a book called By the Time You Read This, The Space Between Chesley's Smile and Mental Illness. She wants families to know that it's important to talk about mental health.
We don't want to talk about it. We shy away from it. And now I think with so many people talking more about their mental health, hopefully it creates a comfort level where people are fine saying, I'm not okay.
Christ was a graduate of Wake Forest University. If you or someone you know needs help, you can contact the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at any time. That number is 988. You can also visit WRAL.com and search Get Help for additional resources in our area.
Remember, it is okay to not be okay. Impeached South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol is indicted on insurrection charges, and this is all because he declared martial law, you'll remember, back in December. Yoon denies any wrongdoing, though, and he's been in custody since being arrested weeks ago. He could face life in jail or even the death penalty if convicted. However, South Korea has not executed anyone in decades.
President Donald Trump says he will keep his campaign promise of eliminating taxes on tips. Trump reiterated that promise during a stop in Las Vegas on Saturday. He said a waitress pitched him the idea originally, and the president said he will soon sit down with lawmakers to hammer out a new proposal. Some budget analysts say the idea would be costly, up to $250 billion over a decade. Well, typically warm states like Florida experienced a rare cold blast this week. And when the cold weather makes it to the Sunshine State, iguanas often become stunned and they fall from the trees. This is really a thing. Meteorologist Chris Michaels is here to explain why these lizards become paralyzed from the cold.
And that's the thing. They don't die, right? They kind of freeze up literally. And it's sort of their body's way of responding to the cold and conserving energy. They're cold-blooded, so they become more sluggish when the temperature is 50 or below, and when it's 40 or below, sometimes you see them falling out of trees, especially in parts of South and Central Florida. According to the University of Florida, this is where they typically reside, along the Gulf Coast and along the East Coast from places like Fort Lauderdale down toward Miami. And it's because of that exotic pet population that these now have been introduced into the general population. So this past weekend, you saw temperatures from Tampa to Sarasota and Melbourne in the 30s. Areas like Naples, Fort Myers, West Palm Beach, and Miami were in the 40s. So that very well could have been a thing that happened, is that these lizards got a little bit stunned by the cold. But just like us, Florida's starting to warm up. They'll be back in the 70s as soon as this afternoon. 70s and sunshine in the winter sounds pretty nice. We'll show you when we get into the 60s here. That's coming up in the 9 o'clock hour of news.
A new TV trailer for the upcoming Superman movie is seeing mixed reviews, as the new trailer includes a look at villain Lex Luthor, and it ends with a close-up of Superman flying through the ice and snow. Some critics say use of CGI in this trailer makes it look odd. Yes, we should probably have a real photographer follow along with Superman. But fans are looking forward to a longer trailer, seeing the Super Bowl as an opportunity to flex the revamped DC Superman. Should be exciting.
It should be. All right, we'll be back with more news, weather, and traffic.